Worried about climate change and rising crude oil prices for your bike? It's time to switch to alternative electric vehicles over traditional gasoline-powered bikes. The EV two-wheeler market in India is growing like never before. In this edition, we'll explore why electric two-wheelers are at the forefront of India's EV transition and why you should switch to EV two-wheeler in the near future as compared to other counterparts. Get ready for this speed ride. The transport sector in India is the largest user of oil and second largest source of CO2 emissions. India has seen a rapid increase in adoption of automobiles since last 10 years. Currently, the Indian transportation sector accounts for one-third of total crude oil consumed in the country, where 80% is being consumed by road transportation alone. It also accounts for around 11% of total CO2 emissions from fuel combustion. EVs have emerged as a promising alternative that could help in mitigating the adverse environmental impacts caused by conventional vehicles. The domestic vehicle sales data signifies that the two-wheeler segment, with more than 80% contribution towards total vehicle sales, is the major driver for increased sales in the Indian automobile sector. E-two-wheelers comprised 30% of global two-wheeler unit sales in 2019, and the majority of those sales were in China. With more than 80% of the two-wheeler market in China electrified, e-two-wheeler sales in China are now plateauing, and other markets are poised to drive future global growth. India's current two-wheeler fleet consumes 65% of gasoline fuel in the country. With more than 20 million two-wheelers produced each year since 2017, two-wheeler production capacity far exceeds any other mode of transportation in India. By 2026, two-wheeler production capacity could more than double to 50.6 million units annually. Given such dramatic growth potential, rapid two-wheeler electrification in India could make it the global leader in e-two-wheeler segment. The two-wheeler EV segment has grown at compound annual growth rate of 62% in last 4 years. Scooters constitute 29% of overall two-wheeler production in India, and motorcycles make up 67.8%. Mopeds make up the remaining share.
We are right now as a country in the middle of the largest EV wave ever seen. While electric has been a fascinating and an exciting technology for almost 2 decades, the last couple of years have been spectacularly positive as far as electrification goes, and particularly the last year, between really positive central and state government policies and extremely favorable consumer sentiment, electric vehicles are truly starting to take off. The industry by numbers is still at an early stage, but has moved from sub 1% annual sales in the entire two-wheeler market to almost 4-5% now, and will likely cross into double-digit market share this year itself. I'm sure everybody's noticing an increased amount of noise and increased amount of conversation around this upcoming electric wave. I'm here to tell you that it's very real. The supply chain expansion for components, motors, batteries, cells, electronics, an entire new ecosystem is coming up in the country.
Electrification of the two-wheeler segment is important for India, the world's largest two-wheeler market. Due to the nature of an electric drive, an e-two-wheeler has better performance characteristics than a conventional two-wheeler and reduced maintenance and operating costs. As two-wheelers are significantly simpler and lighter than other vehicle types, they also have the potential to be electrified very cost-effectively because their motor power requirements and battery size are much lower than that of other vehicles. In India, as in most markets around the world, the upfront cost of e-two-wheeler is higher than that of its conventional internal combustion engine counterpart. This cost difference strongly limits the attractiveness of electric drive options.
The average scooter with the same amount of power costs about 1 lakh rupees, and then the on-road price for this is about 1.5 near about. There's also the subsidy that you get, so that's about 14,000 rupees deducted. So you come within the range of about 1.4 which is a good price to pay considering the running cost, because you're not paying for petrol, which is a recurring cost. You're only paying for electricity, which is much cheaper, in comparison. And then there's also the convenience of the charging station. You have the grid installed at your house, so you can charge it overnight and be on your way the next day. So I placed my booking with them a long while ago, but I wanted to wait for the reviews, the results, the user experience, and from whatever I've read, it's been very positive. So therefore, I'm confirming my purchase.
Planning to buy EV two-wheeler? Well, let me take you through the driving experience before you make that tempting purchase. Come along. Electric vehicles have never been more appealing. The latest two-wheeler EVs now boast of performance on par, if not better, than comparable petrol machines. Most e-two-wheelers have this magic feature. When braking, the accelerator sends electrons streaming back into the battery pack. Simple physics of converting kinetic energy to electric energy. It is a good experience to ride in city traffic having a maximum speed of 35 kilometers per hour. It is quieter, more efficient, easier to operate, and does not produce gas fumes. But before buying an electric vehicle, one of the fundamental concerns many Indians have is the ability to charge their vehicles. The lack of an extensive charging infrastructure in major cities, concerns surrounding the battery range of a particular EV, and the cost of batteries have proven to be major bottlenecks for consumers. The key question here is, do you need to set up the charging infrastructure first and then purchase an EV, or it is the other way round? Of course, how much time it takes for the EV to charge, its battery range and performance varies from one vehicle to another depending on the size of the battery pack and technology.
For charging your EV two-wheeler, today we have a lot of options for charging. Like first is the portable charger. You can easily plug it in a 5 ampere socket at your homes at an ease. So you just plug it in the socket and you charge your vehicle. It takes, and the second option is a wall mount charger, which is, so you can easily charge it from Ether dot. So that easily goes in your metered connection, and you can easily charge around 3.5 hours it takes for charging. Next is the public charging stations, which are installed all over India right now. So these are fast charging stations you easily find somewhere on the road, or easily you can locate on the app itself. So you can charge at a faster speed.
Government of India had notified the National Electric Mobility Mission Plan 2020, which seeks to enhance national energy security, mitigate adverse environmental impacts from road transport sector, and boost domestic manufacturing capabilities for electric vehicles. In addition to this, the government has notified Phase 2 of Faster Adoption and Manufacturing of Hybrid and Electric Vehicle Scheme, or the FAME scheme, to stimulate the market for EVs in the country. De-license the charging infrastructure business and specified guidelines and standards for charging infrastructure for electric vehicle, thereby opening up the market for public charging infrastructure and ensuring a roadmap for development of charging infrastructure. It has also introduced various financial incentives to reduce upfront cost of EVs and charging infrastructure. With the push from the government side, innovation is not coming primarily from the traditional automobile giants, but from the India's EV startup ecosystem.
ये भारत के स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम की ताकत है कि वो पैशन से, सिंसियरिटी से और इंटीग्रिटी से भरा हुआ है। ये भारत के स्टार्टअप इकोसिस्टम की ताकत है कि वो लगातार खुद को डिस्कवर कर रहा है, खुद को सुधार रहा है, अपनी ताकत बढ़ा रहा है। वो लगातार एक लर्निंग मोड में है, चेंजिंग मोड में है, नई नई स्थितियां, परिस्थितियां के मुताबिक खुद को ढाल रहा है।
The ecosystem is made up of startups that manufacture two-wheelers, as well as startups working in battery tech, vehicle diagnostics and analytics, charging and other aspects of electric vehicles. Costs for both raw material and the synthesized active materials set the price floor for battery cells and packs. Currently, manufacturing constitutes around 15% of cell cost, while the raw material costs account for 1.8%. There is likely significant opportunity for manufacturing cost reduction, particularly as production scales. Additional cost reductions are possible through novel chemistries and incremental improvements.
The big achievement in this sector has been the young entrepreneurs, the startups who have disrupted. So Ather Energy, Ola, Bounce, many of them have disrupted the sector. And because of them, established companies have also come forward and started manufacturing electric vehicles. We are also pushing for battery swapping. We'll come out with a new battery swapping policy in the next 3 months. We'll bring out the standards for battery swapping in the next 60 days. And we will do everything possible to push for acceleration of electric mobility so that India has an absolutely clean, shared and a zero emission mobility world in the future.
Corporates across the globe are looking forward towards securing and augmenting their share in the EV value pie chain. Recent acquisitions made by various multinational mining giants, in addition to the aggressive Chinese investments in the value chain, are just a few examples of the urgency nations and companies are eliciting towards the shift, not just from environmental angle, but also from the profitability perspective.
Something really good has happened in 2021 for the customer, the industry, and the country. It's been a dream run for electric two-wheelers. Customers bought as many electric two-wheelers in a single year as they bought in the last 10 years. And this is just the beginning. Our next goal is 1 crore electric two-wheeler in a year by 2025. And the industry is confident to achieve it. All this has been made possible by the bold and very effective positive steps taken by the government recently and the participation of the industry. I used to say, e-mobility is a three-legged race that needs policy support. Now the statement we can confidently make is, e-mobility is a chariot being pulled by two winner horses.
India has the opportunity to indigenize EV and battery production, which will be necessary to reduce costs. A strong and enabling regulatory framework can signal certainty for investors and the shift to the e-two-wheeler market from its current position of caution towards accelerated growth. Due to lack of indigenous raw materials for batteries, India could also work to become a leader in EV battery recycling. Further establishing a strong e-two-wheeler production and recycling industry would lay a foundation for expanding electrification to cars, trucks and buses.
बहुत बड़ी मार्केट है। अभी पेट्रोल व्हीकल जो हम 15 से 20 लाख के करीब बेच रहे हैं वो सब इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हीकल्स होने वाले हैं। इसके अलावा इंडिया इज गोइंग टू वर्ल्ड लार्जेस्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग ऑफ इलेक्ट्रिकल व्हीकल। गुड रीजन फॉर दैट इज we have qualified manpower, we have resources, we have ideal policies, and world is trying to establish and recognize us as a really resourceful country and a business friendly environment.
Several states have also come up with their EV policies, which provide for fiscal and non-fiscal incentives over and above as provided by Government of India. Although the share of two-wheeler EVs is merely 17% of the overall EV population in the country, it is likely to follow the similar trend as it is observed in the conventional vehicle market today. So far, the concerns around new technology, relatively high prices of EVs, range anxiety, adequate availability of charging facilities have prevented the uptake of two-wheeler EVs. However, with the majority of EV technology, price parity and development of peripheral infrastructure, the share of two-wheeler EVs is expected to increase. So as I sign off, you can visit the nearest EV dealer and also explore the charging options. Well, that's all I had for you in this edition. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Sansad TV. Namaskar.